Xiao Ye is introduced to the protagonist, who looks exhausted and frightened of something. There is talk of a system that everyone has except the protagonist. Xiao Ye is upset that he doesn't have a system and can't use it. Originally, the protagonist had 3 jars to restore health and 3 to restore mana. In addition to the recovery potions, Xiao Ye originally had a red cat and 2 pets, 2 girls with purple hair. The protagonist, depressed due to lack of strength, hides behind a rock when an explosion happens. But Xiao Ye is not discouraged and tries to keep an optimistic outlook on what is happening. He meets an NPC who becomes his friend. This character has white hair and bright blue eyes. A frightened Xiao Ye is walking through a dark forest with several other characters. Everyone except him looks calm. The protagonist shows one of the figurines he made, a figurine of a girl in a dress with pink hair. Xiao Ye is immersed in his dreams of becoming the owner of a large corporation and leading the crowds of people behind him. He is determined and convinced that even an inexperienced player like him can stand out in the game and become successful. 2 characters, an angel girl and a demon girl, are arguing at the table about someone who has already achieved great success in the game and has become one of the strongest bosses. One of the characters is in a joyful mood because of the appearance of the Demon King on Earth. Introducing some of the heroes of the manga. One of them is the evil lady, with lightning bolts sparking around her. She has long purple hair, and her head is decorated with horns. In addition to her, we are introduced to 2 more evil ladies. The girl with the short haircut and the bright black and green costume is called the Evil Lady X2. The second evil lady is a girl with long pink hair and a white cape. She's called Evil Lady XN. One of the main actions of the manga is the large number of epic battles. 2 characters have a duel using swords and knives. There are some funny moments in the manga, with characters getting into awkward situations. A terrifying monster lets out a great shriek. In this way, the authors show that the heroes are going to have a difficult battle with terrifying monsters. A huge number of meteorites fall on the earth, and houses and buildings begin to burn. Xiao Ye meets the evil lady while the whole world is destroyed and engulfed in fire. The evil lady, who initially appeared to be an intimidating monster, actually turns out to be a cute character. Still, the main character is in a tragic situation, so he's scared. Humorous credits are shown, saying that the story may end before it even begins. Character creation screen in the game. You need to enter your login. You can choose the race and class of the hero to be created. Getting to know the main character. He's 21 years old and a student. Xiao Ye is standing in front of the screen, in which the creation of the character is open. This year, there was a merging of the 2 worlds, the game world and the real world. Because of the merging of the 2 worlds, the real world has become the home of the terrifying monsters from the game. To counteract this event, all of humanity became players. It is shown that now any person can enter the game, create a character, and choose its characteristics. People, in the face of a shattering world teeming with monsters, became new to the game, armed with swords and spears. However, it happened that Xiao Ye did not become a player and could not get abilities for battle. The protagonist's character selection screen stops working. Xiao Ye is completely confused about what is happening to his system. The protagonist frantically and desperately tries again and again to log in and create a character. It turns out that the system with game skills suddenly crashed due to an error. Because of what happened, Xiao Ye can no longer use the character creation system. He returned to the real world without any abilities. The protagonist, surrounded by game characters with swords and axes, is at a loss without getting any game items and skills. Xiao Ye is not given weapons and equipment, so he will have to use improvised means. Due to the lack of in-game features such as experience and level, Xiao Ye will need to pump up his physical abilities. Xiao Ye is terrified because his character's characterization system doesn't work. The character becomes desperate. He thinks he can't survive in this world without in-game abilities. Xiao Ye is teased by the author that he will go to the other world without losing his innocence. The protagonist decides to accept his difficulties and find a way to cope with them. Although Xiao Ye's whole system stopped working, his inventory didn't go down and he found a couple of recovery potions, a red one for health and a blue one for mana. After some deliberation, Xiao Ye decides to team up with other players and find shelter. While the protagonist was thinking about further actions, an unusual flash appeared in the sky. Xiao Ye paid attention to what was happening in the sky and was perplexed. What was a flash in the sky crashed into the ground with terrifying force. A man in a white cloak on a tall building observes what is happening. This man sees a bright flash in the sky and tells him that the apocalypse has come to Earth. What fell to Earth as a meteorite turns out to be some kind of creature. Xiao Ye, hiding behind a rock, watches as the features of an unknown monster appear out of the smoke. The protagonist assumes that one of the game bosses has fallen to the ground in this manner. The monster that fell to the ground starts to get up and regain consciousness after the collision. The fallen creature is the evil lady, a demon and the leader of the heavenly kings. Her name is Belial. The protagonist is horrified at the sight of such a powerful monster, but at the same time, Xiao Ye appreciated the fallen demon's outfit and decided to capture her image on his smartphone. Belial, after falling to the ground, became confused and started looking around. Though she doesn't quite know where she is still determined. She knows exactly what she is looking for is right in front of her, a store with a pink sign. Belial pulls a piece of paper out of his chest with a mysterious grin. It turns out that she had a dream in which she saw a demon lord. He was the one she drew in the picture. She loves the look of the demon lord, so she lovingly holds the drawing of him to her. While Belial was looking around and dreaming about her meeting with the demon lord, she was surrounded by players with weapons in their hands. The players were puzzled by the appearance of a strong boss at the beginning of their playthrough. The demon decided to quickly get rid of the interfering newcomers by using her skill. Belial prepares to attack, pink and purple lightning bolts surrounding her body. A bright circular flash emanates from Belial after she used her absolute territory skill. All of the surrounding newcomers were sent to the other world by the demon with her one skill. Xiao Ye, who was watching what happened, was horrified by such a crushing power. Still hiding behind a rock, he covers his mouth with his hands to avoid attracting the demon's attention and decides to run away. But Belial listens and notices strange sounds coming from the man behind the stone. Suddenly, a crushing beam of yellow sparkling lightning falls to the ground. It remains unknown what the source of the beam is. The beam passes very close to the protagonist, causing him to panic. Xiao Ye screams in terror at being struck by such a powerful force. The beam cuts through the ground, passing next to Xiao Ye and heading towards the demon Belial. Belial is perplexed. She can't understand who could have launched an attack on her. She quickly jumps up and dodges the oncoming beam. The demon comes down to the ground after the dodge, leaning on one knee. Belial recognizes the attacker as her familiar Roland. It's clear from her face that she's not too happy to see him. Standing across from each other, Roland accuses Belial of having a temper, and she accuses him of being an attacker. Roland turns out to be a high priest of level 101, with blonde hair and blue eyes. He answers Belial's question and tells her that he is here to take down the demon lord. It turns out that Roland learned about this place from a prophecy, but he doubts whether he's in the right place. By the same store that Belial used to navigate the area, he is convinced of the accuracy of the place he has found. Belial becomes enraged at what Roland said about the Lord. Using a whip, the demon launches an attack on the high priest. Belial's eyes light up purple with rage as she attacks her opponent. She makes a furious swing of the whip. The demon attacks Roland with multiple blows of the whip. The priest adopts a defensive posture, crossing his arms in front of his face. Belial screams with anger as he launches his strongest attack. Roland remains calm and only smirks in response to the demon's attack. Belial swings her weapon once again. She prepares to deliver her strongest blow yet. But Roland quickly dodges and the blow misses. Belial didn't even manage to hit the Reaper. After such a crushing blow, Roland enters the battle and a shining spiral appears around his hand. So the priest summons his weapon, a sword called the Mark of the Sacred Edge. While the fierce battle is going on, Xiao Ye continues to sit behind the stone in fear, afraid to move. The protagonist is so frightened that drops of sweat appear on his face. During the battle with Roland, Belial lost almost all of her health, but encouraged by her encounter with her lord, the demon regains her strength and is ready to continue the fight. Belial, having entered the second phase, begins to prepare to jump and attack again. Her jump was made so quickly that dust rose in its former place. Belial, in midair, swings his whip to deliver another devastating blow. Roland realizes the power of the demon's new form and knows that he must try his best to avoid being hit by her attack. He pulls a sheet from his suit and prepares to use the new tactic. As the demon approached him, Roland held the sheet right up to Belial's face. When the demon sees what's written on the sheet, she rounds her eyes and forgets all about her opponent. It turns out that Roland picked up Belial's dropped leaf with the drawing of the Lord. She finds herself mesmerized by the image in the drawing. But Roland remains vigilant and prepares to continue his assault on the enemy. Because Belial lost control of the situation, the Reaper was able to deliver a devastating blow. Belial flew a great distance after Roland's crushing blow, and she landed near where Xiao Ye is hiding behind the stone. The protagonist is shocked by what is happening, and not expecting this outcome of events, is at a loss for words. Belial, sitting on the ground, tries to regain consciousness after being struck by Roland. She notices that the drawing depicting the Lord is ruined and starts screaming. Looking at the ruined drawing, she blames Roland for the unfair fight. Belial stands up and clenches his hands into fists due to anger at the Reaper for the ruined drawing. The demon becomes enraged, her mouth contorting in an angry scream and her hair rising to the top. Suddenly, Belial notices the demon lord sitting right in front of her. Xiao Ye is in a stupor because of the demon Belial caught her gaze. At the sight of Xiao Ye, Belial smiles and says that she was waiting for him. But Roland doesn't hesitate for a moment and continues to attack his opponent. In front of Xiao Ye, Roland brutally slashes Belial and sends the demon to the other side. Roland, sword in hand, proudly announces that the battle is over. Xiao Ye, horrified by the brutal battle between Roland and Belial, faints. At this time, Roland honors Belial and speaks of the strength of his opponent. But without wasting a moment, he immediately sets traps to capture the newborn lord. He'll need them to capture the Demon King and bring him down. Roland dreams of the king being weak and not giving him any trouble. He remembers the specific location of the lord's arrival and decides to turn around. The Reaper notices that right behind him sits Xiao Ye, who is the demon lord he has been looking for. Roland is horrified that the Demon King is right behind him. The Reaper activates his perception skill and sees that the lord has a prohibitively high level. Xiao Ye turns out to have a 4-digit level, much to Roland's surprise. Roland, with his 101st level, realizes that he cannot defeat the Overlord under any circumstances. Roland is overcome with fear, thinking that the Lord is following a devious plan. The Reaper remembers his destiny to save the world and loses faith in his own strength in the face of the Lord. Xiao Ye stands up and Roland confusedly prepares to attack, summoning his sword. The Demon Lord silently puts his hand to his mouth with a languid look. Roland watches with fear in his eyes and prepares for the worst possible outcome. Xiao Ye stretches his hand forward and a magic ball appears in front of him. In Roland's imagination, Xiao Ye prepares to avenge him for his victory in the battle with Belial. Seeing the Demon Lord preparing to use some skill, Roland decides that Xiao Ye has become enraged. The Reaper realizes that he can't defeat the Demon Lord in a fight by any means possible. In Xiao Ye's hand, a red-colored potion suddenly appears in his hand. It's a recovery potion. The protagonist with a carefree look holds out the recovery potion to Roland. The Reaper looks at the Demon Lord's gesture with a frightened face. Xiao Ye says that Roland has lost a lot of health and needs to drink the recovery potion. The game world and the mundane world have merged with each other already 30% of the time. The people who became players started fighting the game monsters. The organization behind the event successfully continues to follow its plan. A man in a suit engages in dialogue and informs them that their job as NPCs is to help the players. The same man asks his interlocutor how Roland is doing, to which the man replies that Roland has successfully eliminated the boss rank monster. He also tells the man that they will win easily if they eliminate the Demon Lord quickly. He suggests that they give this task to Roland's complete control and not worry about anything. The man praises Roland for his resourcefulness. At the same time, Roland is in an apathetic state due to his encounter with the Demon King. Xiao Ye holds out a recovery potion to the wounded Roland, who is shaking with fear. The protagonist continues to insist on treating Roland with the potion, but Roland himself cannot fully understand the Demon King's gesture. The Reaper assumes that Xiao Ye wants to poison him and avenge her minion. Roland ponders why the Demon King chose to poison him instead of personally dealing with him. Stumped by his reasoning, the Reaper decides that the Demon King is incredibly cruel. But he doesn't dare to tell Xiao Ye because his life is at stake. Roland decides not to risk it by refusing the Lord's extended potion. Then he increases his characteristics that will help him take the Demon Lord potion without harming his health. Roland shouts furiously and grabs the flask of red liquid from Xiao Ye. After Roland drank the potion, he received a 50 health boost. He is greatly surprised that the potion extended by the Lord turned out to be a simple health potion. Xiao Ye timidly excuses himself because he didn't have anything else in his bag besides the healing potion. Roland is furious, accusing the protagonist of scaring him with his gesture. He becomes furious that he has been tricked by Xiao Ye. However, Xiao Ye notices that the Reaper has regained his health by drinking the potion, and thus escaped his worst fate. Turning to the Demon Lord, Roland asks him to answer a question. Roland asks Xiao Ye a question about his motives and the goals he is pursuing, to which Xiao Ye replies that he too needs to ask Roland a question. The protagonist asks Roland to tell him how to get to the safe zone. Xiao Ye's question stumps the Reaper, causing him to become confused. Xiao Ye explains that the safe zone is for weak players to practice their skills leisurely. Roland figures out the Demon Lord's plan. He thinks that Xiao Ye's target is new players who can defeat him in the future. And he needs to defeat the weak players while they still have the strength to fight. Roland decides not to betray the newcomers at the cost of his own life, but he immediately backs down and decides to save himself first. Xiao Ye thanks the Reaper for his help, but he reproaches himself for aiding his lord. Roland, with a strained smile, gestures to Xiao Ye not to thank him. He curses the Lord and decides to get to a safe zone to contact the higher NPCs to win the victory. Suddenly, the two of them are attacked by a creepy monster with its tongue sticking out. Roland immediately draws his weapon and prepares to defend himself. In one blow, he kills the monster with a massive explosion in its place. Roland immediately prepares to continue the battle with the other monsters. He finds himself surrounded by several level 42 flying guardian demons. Without a moment's hesitation, he successfully deflects the monster's attack with his sword. The demons do not retreat and continue their onslaught, but Roland copes with all of the attacker's attacks. With a few swings of his sword, he manages the last of the monsters. Xiao Ye praises the Reaper's stamina and skills. Suddenly, from the back, one of the monsters makes an attack on Xiao Ye. The guy is perplexed. He can't use his weapon and repel the attack. Roland expects to see the Lord in battle to unleash his fighting abilities. But Xiao Ye begs for help from the bewildered Roland, hanging onto his waist, as one of the monsters pounces on Roland himself. But he easily defeats the attacking demon and puts his sword back in its sheath. With the last monster, the Reaper used his exploding sword skill, causing a bright explosion to erupt in the demon's place. Roland looks disdainfully at Xiao Ye hanging on his waist and reproaches him for his acting. The Reaper thinks about the fact that Xiao Ye didn't use any abilities to repel attacks and concludes that he has a deep confidence in his powers. He reflects on the fact that despite all his power, the Lord never realized the main purpose of Roland's mission. This fact adds to the Reaper's determination and confidence in his abilities. At the same time, after the battle with the monsters, Roland has lost a lot of health and is now very weak. Because of this, he has to lean on his sword and give himself some time to rest and regain his strength. Xiao Ye has a few new items in his inventory, which he took from Belial after Roland's massacre of her. A little earlier, he had embarrassingly asked Roland to pick up the loot that had fallen from Belial. Roland bewilderedly agreed to give the loot to Xiao Ye. Xiao Ye began to consider the items that could be taken from the fallen boss. He offered Roland to take Belial's divine clothes for himself. But Roland refuses, and Xiao Ye takes all the items for himself. Xiao Ye is frustrated that he can't equip the clothes he's picked up due to the blocked features of the game system. Suddenly, he finds something interesting in the items, and gestures for Roland to take a look at it. It turns out to be Belial's personal notes about her fantasies about the Demon Lord. Roland is embarrassed after reading these notes and is once again convinced of the correctness of his goal, to free the world from demons. Back in the present, Xiao Ye once again looks at the contents of his backpack and is frustrated at not being able to use the items he picked up. He is sad that there was an error in the system when creating his account. But he quickly regains his optimistic attitude and decides to find a way to save himself in this world without in-game features. At this time, Roland is surrounded by evil fox-like creatures. One of them attacks the Reaper and he loses 50 health. Xiao Ye admires the Reaper and dreams of one day becoming as strong as him. After the battle with the monsters, Roland stabs his sword into the ground. He, exhausted after many battles, reports that they have arrived at a safe zone. Xiao Ye is surprised to see the place they found themselves in with Roland. The safe zone turned out to be a large area of Kangqian University. Xiao Ye is shocked to report that this is the place where he used to train in the past. A memorial ceremony is taking place in Belial's memory. Her framed portrait is surrounded by flowers and incense is lit. The other demons, seated at the communal table, offer to send another associate to meet the Lord. But only Belial has seen what the Lord looks like. One of the 7 demon lords, Babylon, doesn't understand how they can continue their search for the Lord without Belial's knowledge. Another demon appears and orders those at the table not to panic. This is Mammon, another demon of the 7 lords. She says that Belial has left a clue that they can use to find the Lord. This clue is a drawing of Belial that she carried with her. Mammon says that by using this drawing, they will be able to find the Lord. A demon named Babylon rejoices that Mammon has come. The other demons bow to her after she appears. Babylon says that there is information from a demon that says that Roland has left the battle site and is traveling with someone to a safe zone. Mammon suggests that it is likely that Roland's companion may well be a demon lord. Babylon has a picture from the demon informant. She shows a picture of Xiao Ye passed out during Roland's massacre of Belial. Mammon looks closely at the photograph that Babylon holds out to her. She decides that the person depicted in the photo is definitely not the demon lord, and rejoices over the fact that the Lord has been captured by Roland. The photograph depicting Xiao Ye is sent to the trash. The demons decide to all gather together, as time is running out. A collapsed building turned red due to the falling light, which is most likely the demon's hideout. The story shifts to Xiao Ye, who is rapturously looking at the safe zone he and Roland recently reached. There is a huge line of people standing at the entrance to the safe zone with no end in sight. Xiao Ye and Roland stand in front of the queue, and the protagonist can't help but marvel at the number of new players waiting to get in. Roland praises Xiao Ye's acting and devises a cunning plan to defeat him. It is reported that the safe zone is a trap for Xiao Ye. The safe zone system is called Postbert and is capable of suppressing the Lord's full strength. Any monster that ends up in the safe zone, according to the rules of the game, will not be able to use their abilities to their full power. Roland is glad that he was able to lure the Demon Lord into the safe zone, where he will lose his incredible abilities and they will be able to easily overpower him. He comes up with the cruelest outcome for Xiao Ye. He will be captured and handcuffed. In that case, for saving mankind from the Demon King, Roland will become a universal hero and will be bathed in glory. At this time, Xiao Ye and Roland have already reached the safe zone and met the other NPCs, who welcome Roland as a future hero. An embarrassed Roland timidly recoils from the swooning praise of his personality from the other NPCs. Roland angrily asks the rambling NPC to shut up, who asks how Roland's mission to defeat the new Demon King went. After this exchange of pleasantries, Xiao Ye confirms the NPC's words and says that Roland is indeed a wonderful person. The second NPC begins to praise Roland again, calling him the hope of humanity from the prophecy. Roland is then told that the steel bolt in the safe zone has been completed. The NPC who broke the news to the Reaper asks Xiao Ye if he knows about the steel bolt. Roland shouts in fury for him to shut up already. Roland runs up to this NPC and starts shaking him vigorously to stop telling their secrets in front of the Demon Lord. While the NPC is embarrassed, Roland takes Xiao Ye by the shoulders and directs him somewhere else. Xiao Ye looks back at Roland admiringly and dreams of becoming a hero like him. While Xiao Ye was distracted by thoughts of Roland's perfection, he led him to an opening in the wall that is all filled with blue color. Roland, with a sinister smile on his face, is triumphant that the time has finally come when he can defeat the Demon Lord. Xiao Ye takes one step into an opening with stairs, which is separated from the rest of the room by a white sparkling streak. While the protagonist suspects nothing, Roland is already envisioning the completion of his mission and defeating the sinister Demon Lord. Suddenly, he pushes Xiao Ye over the sparkling border separating the two rooms and shouts at him that he is about to experience the full power of the system's energy. Xiao Ye, who is in another room separated by a blue transparent wall, doesn't realize the power of the system Roland is telling him. Even though Roland pushed Xiao Ye through the barrier, nothing happened to him. Roland is confused. His plan didn't work. He thinks that pushing Xiao Ye into the safe zone didn't do anything. However, this subsequently caused the steel bolt, a device standing in the center of the safe zone, to crack. This structure began to collapse, cracks appearing and parts falling off. Roland begins to make theories as to why Xiao Ye didn't lose his powers in the safe zone. One of them is that the Demon Lord is so strong that even the system can't contain his power. Xiao Ye with a calm face asks if this is all the power of the system, which shocks Roland. In fact, Xiao Ye asks if he is safe now being under the influence of the system's immense power. Roland is horrified not to understand Xiao Ye's intentions and can't even guess at his future plans. He imagines that Xiao Ye will use his power and destroy the entire safe zone right now. The entire room where newcomers are being registered to enter the safe zone is colored red. The NPCs doing the check-in are confused and don't understand what's going on with the system. Newbies start to panic, thinking that the safe zone has been attacked. NPCs assume that there is a simple system glitch and try to comfort the panicked newcomers in the check-in area. They say that in the safe zone, they are protected by a post-birth device that will prevent monsters from sneaking into the area. However, this device has fallen into an unfortunate state. Everything has warped, and instead of a straight post, it is now heart-shaped. The NPCs take notice of the changed shape of the device and say that it has started to look strange. But the NPCs are not discouraged and comfort the newcomers that there is a Roland in the safe zone who will protect them in case of trouble. They ask Roland, who is standing next to Xiao Ye, to say a few words to reassure them. However, Roland himself, who is the hope of mankind, becomes desperate and cries out in fear, for his plan has failed. He is horrified that Xiao Ye was able to break the system and destroy the steel bolt. He is depressed at the inability to impose restrictions on Xiao Ye's powers through the system and feels helpless. Roland thinks that Xiao Ye has decided to take revenge on Roland for his plan and mess with the weak system that can't contain his power. So he wiped out everything Roland could have hoped for. Roland is horrified by the vast gulf in the difference between his powers and those of the newborn Demon Lord. In a state of despondency, Roland begins to contemplate the idea of just giving up and not trying to resist the power of the Lord. Xiao Ye asks Roland with a calm face about his condition and comforts him by saying that there was a lag in the system. The protagonist revels in Roland's frightened and depressed state due to a normal glitch. Xiao Ye tries to lift Roland's spirits and make him not give up in the face of such a tiny problem. He reminds Roland that he is the hope of mankind and he should not give up now because the game has just begun. Roland is puzzled by the words of the Demon Lord, who tries to comfort him. At the same time, he is frightened by Xiao Ye's expression that the game has just begun and sees the words as a threat. Roland is confused and can't recognize Xiao Ye's intentions and tries to ask him about his desires. Xiao Ye is a little confused after Roland's question about his intentions. The protagonist thought that Roland was so moved by Xiao Ye's words of support that he offered him a reward for it. After thinking for a bit, Xiao Ye decides to ask Roland to fulfill one request of his. He wants to learn cooking skills in order to successfully settle down among the newcomers and survive in this world. Roland doesn't quite understand why a demon lord with a 4-digit level would need to master cooking and becomes confused. He thought Xiao Ye would ask him for something terrible, but it turns out to be the protagonist's simple desire for a cooking skill. Xiao Ye asks Roland if he will become the hero of mankind by defeating the demon lord. As a child, Xiao Ye himself loved hero stories and dreamed of becoming as strong as them. He shares his worries about the system malfunction and is happy that he met Roland because he became his savior. Xiao Ye wants to become a hero at all costs, even if his only skill is cooking. Roland is shocked by the story of the powerful demon lord. The protagonist asks Roland for help in finding his own path and gaining abilities. The Reaper cannot understand Xiao Ye's request and becomes confused about it. Xiao Ye has come to meet his cooking mentor. His name is He-Ri, and he was initially dismissive of the hero's request to teach him a skill. First aid mentor Li Bingbing supports He-Ri and encourages them to be more responsible in their professions. The mentors talk about the difficulty of learning new skills, as it requires a considerable amount of money. Xiao Ye shows them the amount of money he has accumulated. He has more than 13 gold coins in his backpack. This changes his mentor's scornful attitude into a friendly one, and He-Ri smiles kindly. Li Bingbing informs Xiao Ye that they, as NPCs, will be more favorable to him because of his wealth. Due to the lack of resources and the huge number of beginners, mastering skills costs a lot of money, and therefore Xiao Ye cannot achieve mastery even with his wealth. The mentors advise Xiao Ye to invest his money in more useful items to level up quickly, rather than spending huge sums of money to pump up skills. To which Xiao Ye embarrassingly replies that he has reasons for choosing to learn new skills. The protagonist turns to Roland standing behind him and asks him if there is no other way to learn the skills he needs. Roland is angry that the demon lord is taking advantage of him and humiliating him in every possible way. He is furious at these thoughts and decides not to indulge the demon lord's whims any longer. But he immediately denies his thoughts and gives Xiao Ye all the money he had on him. The protagonist embarrassedly accepts Roland's money and thus receives a little more than 17 gold coins. Despite this, the mentors inform Xiao Ye that even this money will not be enough to gain mastery in mastering the skills. So Xiao Ye looks expectantly at Roland again, hoping for help. Roland decides to give his cloak, which is worth 48 gold and 7 silver coins, but even this is not enough. Then Roland gives his sword worth 50 gold and 6 silver coins. The money is still not enough. Then he offers to sell his underwear, for which the fans are willing to pay 99 gold and 7 silver coins. Roland, left without all his belongings, curses the demon lord and smashes his fist into the wall in anger. But even with all the resulting sum, in the end, the money is not enough to pump the skill to the required level. Then He-Ri asks Roland about his expensive watch. Roland is horrified that he has to give Xiao Ye his father's birthday present. But he does give him the expensive watch, and the mentors are surprised at Roland's favor to Xiao Ye. Xiao Ye is happy that Roland supported him in his intentions to become a hero and put in his best efforts. While Roland, left without his belongings, sits on the sidelines in a panic, Xiao Ye asks how he can get the money for the items he received. Li Bingbing tells him that he can sell the items at the NPC merchants, where newcomers usually earn money by selling the items they find. Xiao Ye goes to the NPC merchants in the shopping center to make a profit in exchange for his items. A rat's tail at merchants newbies can sell for 3 copper coins. Lo-Yi's underwear costs the value of 8 copper coins. Skeleton toes are also not expensive items and cost 32 copper coins. One of the NPC merchants praises the newcomer who has come to him to sell goods for good items. He tells him that all of his items will cost 1 silver and 20 copper coins, to which the guy in the helmet resents because the amount is so small. After receiving 43 copper coins, the frustrated newcomer leaves the mall. Xiao Ye, entering the building with the NPC merchants, looks regretfully at the frustrated newcomer walking out. He thinks about the fact that despite all the changes in the world, money is still the key factor. Xiao Ye approaches the merchant and starts a dialogue with him about selling things. He puts all the things he got from Roland on the table. The merchant is shocked to have so many S-rank items on his table. He begins to think that he has seen all these things on someone else before. The portrait of Roland, the hope of all mankind, immediately comes to his mind. The merchant starts screaming in surprise and realizes that he has Mr. Roland's things for sale. But Xiao Ye finds himself stashing a few more things for sale in his backpack. He pulls out the equipment he managed to get after Roland's victory over Belial. The merchant begins to scrutinize the clothes the demon once wore. This equipment is to his liking, and he notes its beauty. After laying out all the items from his backpack, Xiao Ye wonders if he can get the proceeds for these items. The merchant has to use his skill to estimate the value of some items. Appraising the items that Xiao Ye got from Belial, he feels deeply shocked. They turned out to be very expensive items. The devil horns are valued at 6 gold and 50 silver coins, while Belial's breastplate is valued at 340 gold coins. The merchant's eyes bulge at the sight of such expensive and rare items. One of the newcomers is outraged that his heavy armor cost only 2 silver coins, while Belial's minimalist breastplate costs over 300 gold coins. The merchant looks lovingly at Belial's gear and starts praising it in every way possible. He likes the fabric of the breastplate, noting it is soft and light. He enthusiastically describes the smell of her outfit as a mixture of perfume and salt. After examining the boss's outfit in detail, he decides to double its value and estimates it at 680 coins. The merchant cradles Belial's outfit with joy and bliss on his face and raves about its rarity. He reports the value of the item to Xiao Ye, saying that in fact it is priceless. However, the merchant does not advise him to sell the item, as it will be recycled after it is sold. But the item can't be exchanged or given to someone else. The merchant suggests that he keep it and wear it when Xiao Ye reaches the right level. Xiao Ye is presented in a superb Belial outfit. All the people around him are rapturously looking at the outfit. But Xiao Ye won't be able to use this equipment, and so he decides to just keep silent. The automatic entrance door of the mall starts to open, and Xiao Ye happily walks out of there, having received a whole 955 gold coins and 60 silver coins. The merchant resents Xiao Ye for the items Xiao Ye sold. The protagonist sparks with joy and walks with a happy smile on his face. Each player can choose their own path. Some set their sights on defeating the main boss and thus saving the world. Others choose the path of dominating duels and defeating other players. There are also players who explore the world and discover new horizons. But there is another type of player, the rich, who can hire a group of people to fight in your place. Thus, even without any abilities, Xiao Ye will have the opportunity to take part in the final boss battle. In Xiao Ye's dreams, in the boss battle, one of the players offers him a decisive blow. He refuses the sword and defeats the boss with a single flick. Thus, after defeating the main boss, Xiao Ye unlocks a new achievement, Savior, and then he will achieve great fame and respect from all players by becoming the savior of mankind. Xiao Ye is introduced to a beautiful woman who calls him a hero and savior. In his dreams, he will be a rich man who hires groups of players fighting for him while he rests. Dreaming of his great and bright future, the protagonist pumps his skill in cooking and preparing various dishes. While he was pondering and drowning in his dreams, unexpectedly he got the maximum skill in cooking. After leaving the building, Xiao Ye meets his mentor, who asks how he is progressing with his skill. He informs him that after mastering the initial skills, there will be a middle stage where he will need to put in a lot of effort, to which Xiao Ye replies that he has already managed to reach the maximum level. The mentor is surprised to see that Xiao Ye has already reached the Grandmaster level. Furthermore, he even managed to successfully complete the level completely. Thus, Xiao Ye set out to defeat himself without even realizing it. The protagonist is walking through a city filled with other players. He ponders the purpose of the NPCs and other players. Xiao Ye is happy that he was able to settle into this world easily. His entire inventory is full, and there is quite a lot of money in his bag. Now he has to decide what he will do next, after selling the items he received and learning some skills. The bus conductor scolds Xiao Ye. The protagonist gets on the bus and heads somewhere. He successfully reaches his destination and gets off the bus. Xiao Ye looks at something standing right in front of him with astonishment, his mouth slightly ajar in admiration. The place he arrived at turned out to be a huge building with a mirrored facade, which is the team assembly hall. Upon entering this building, he notices some people talking amongst themselves. It turns out that there is a team in which all the members have already reached level 15. This team is one of the strongest teams in existence according to the combat power rating. Its members are capable of doing their jobs professionally. It is said that the captain of this team used to be a professional player. Xiao Ye is surprised because of the information he heard. Meet the captain of the team, Qin Haozhan. He is a level 16 brigand. He has a striking appearance, white hair and red-colored eyes. One of the participants offers the captain to take one more player to their team because the level of the monsters they fight with is getting higher and higher. This girl's name is Lu Ju. She is a level 15 archer with a level 3 combat power rating. She has a bright black and green costume and black-colored hair. The captain refuses Lu Ju's request, explaining that he doesn't want to share the monster rewards with another player. Another member of the team is An Lu. Her specialty is assassin and her level is hidden. She wears a white cloak. Her hair and eyes are the same color, light pink. The captain puts his arm around the shoulder of another team member and tells them that they should improve their efficiency. And if anyone fails, they will be kicked off the team. The girl sitting next to Qin Haojian is his sister named Obara. She is a level 16 priest. Obara seems to be a very shy girl. The whole team is gathered together in one room. Their captain informs them that they must make every effort to continue working together. Suddenly, the captain receives a notification in the system that he apparently did not expect at all. This notice turns out to be Xiao Ye's request to join their team. Qin looks at the notice indifferently, calls Xiao Ye a weirdo and rejects it. But Xiao Ye doesn't give up and starts spamming the captain asking him to join the team. Qin is angry at the intrusiveness of the unsolicited player. After all, he just recently said he doesn't welcome newbies. He repeatedly clicks reject on the system to Xiao Ye's request to join. Several notification boxes pop up around him, and the captain is confused. But he is not so naive and will not accept a new player into his team so easily. He successfully rejects all of Xiao Ye's requests to join, and a proud smile appears on his face. But Xiao Ye is not ready to back down, and apparently he needs this membership at any cost. Then he sends the captain a request for an exchange. The captain looks at this notification thoughtfully, but he already wants to refuse Xiao Ye's offer as well. Suddenly, Qin decides to accept the exchange request from Xiao Ye and see what he can offer him. The captain is shocked to see what Xiao Ye has offered him in the exchange window between the characters. The protagonist sends Qin 10 gold coins to gain the captain's favor. The captain can't believe his eyes that someone could offer him such an impressive sum of money. He is surprised by this money, as he has only managed to accumulate 2 gold coins and 57 silver coins in all his time. Even learning combat skills in the game costs money, and in a world where there is a severe shortage of resources, one has to be very selective in choosing them. The captain ponders that 10 coins will be enough to learn new skills and buy new high-end equipment. With the help of such reinforcements, it will be possible to easily defeat strong monsters and quickly increase the level. The captain is surprised that someone could give away 10 gold coins so easily and without hesitation. Due to the severe lack of resources, Qin can't believe that anyone has that kind of money at all. He is confused and can't decide whether to reject or accept the money. But of course, he can't deny himself such a decent amount of money that can strengthen him incredibly, and accepts Xiao Ye's offer. After he accepted this exchange, 10 gold coins were added to his account. The captain is jubilant that someone made such an oversight and gave him such a large sum so easily. But after the exchange, the captain again receives a notice asking Xiao Ye to join his team. Then the captain realizes what the exchange was all about, and a mysterious smile appears on his face. The captain accepted Xiao Ye's offer, and he's already standing with their team in the same room. The protagonist wants to hire this team to escort him home. Xiao Ye found out from people, and it turns out that the place of his house is occupied by monsters, moles of the 18th level. Because of this, he can't get to the place on his own. Lu Ju answers him that the ranking is important to them, and they will not help for nothing. The captain accuses his companion of being heartless, but he is obviously willing to help Xiao Ye because of the money he offered him. Qin Haojian pretends to be willing to help Xiao Ye to improve the professionalism of the team, and tells them that they will take the job. Lu Ju is surprised by the captain's behavior and feels like someone has replaced him, as he doesn't tell her the main motives behind this decision. A huge multi-story building, the team meeting hall, is shown against the background of a sky completely studded with bright stars. The entrance of the building is decorated with a neon sign in blue and white, showing people united in a single line. Qin's team walks out of the building. The captain walks ahead. Lu Ju catches up with him and resents Qin for accepting Xiao Ye's offer, to which the captain responds by showing the girl his money account in the system. She is surprised by the captain's balance and asks him in amazement where he was able to get such a sum of money. She begins to guess that the money was most likely obtained by the captain from the seemingly weak-looking Xiao Ye. Lu Ju speculates that Xiao Ye doesn't just want to sneak into his house, and there is probably some insanely expensive treasure hidden there. Qin Haojian agrees with the girl's theory and is already anticipating her enrichment with the hidden treasure Xiao Ye is looking for. Obara is horrified and asks Qin about his intention to steal the treasure, to which he replies that they must get the treasure to increase their strength. He decides to get his hands on the hidden treasure at any cost, and Lu Ju agrees to his plan. The captain asks the opinion of another member of the team, An Lu, who at this time is towered over everyone by standing on a road lamp post. And Lu lowers her gaze to the captain and agrees with his plan to steal the treasure. But Obara doesn't want to act so dishonorably and objects to the plan. To her objections, Chin replies that he doesn't care. Obara gets upset that no one is considering her opinion and quietly sobs with sadness. The team, determined to steal Xiaoye's treasure, sets off on their new mission. Qin Haozhan announces the start of the hunt for the precious treasure with joy on his face. Bright trails of sword swings swish through the air. The team easily defeats the mole monsters that have overrun the area. Having successfully defeated all the monsters on their way, they, together with Xiaoye, arrive at the desired multi-story building. The protagonist informs the team that they will need to climb to the 6th floor of the building. Qin reassures Xiaoye that they are professionals at their job and will keep him safe along the way. Qin's team, along with Xiaoye, makes their way inside the building. It looks abandoned, so it gives the protagonist some fear. The healer Obara timidly informs the captain that she senses that something wrong is going on in the building. She says that when she crosses the threshold of this multi-story building, she is haunted by a strange feeling. The healer is frightened by what is happening and shares her feelings with the team captain. Qin looks scornfully at her frightened sister and rebukes her for what she said. He says that the girl doesn't know anything about the rules of the game, and she should keep quiet, or she will be abandoned and left alone in this house. Xiaoye treads carefully on the floor of the 6th floor and silently counts down the apartment numbers. He looks for the door with the number 606. Seeing the right numbers on one of the doors, Xiaoye tells the team that they have arrived at the location he wants them to go to. He thanks the team for a job well done and praises their honesty. Qin fake smiles and tells Xiaoye to get his things out of the apartment as soon as possible. The protagonist takes out the right key and inserts it into the door lock. Without a moment's hesitation, Yiqin immediately pounces on the unsuspecting Xiaoye from behind with burning eyes. But suddenly, the captain is attacked by a 22nd level A-rang monster, a giant mutated rat. The captain is startled to see the monster coming and does not immediately realize what is happening. He quickly adapts and delivers a devastating blow to the monster, causing the entire team to fly upwards. He can't understand how monsters of such a high level appeared in the building. After the monster attack and its repulsion, the captain asks the team if everyone is uninjured. But they notice that although everyone is unharmed, their customer, Xiaoye, is missing. Because of the captain's attack on the monster, a hole was formed in the floor, into which the main character fell with a scream. The whole team looks at the falling Xiaoye with bewilderment and does not understand what to do next. Qin is happy that everything turned out this way, and now the precious treasure from Xiaoye's apartment will easily fall to him. But An Lu decides to save Xiaoye and jumps after him into the hole between the floors. Suddenly, a giant rat reappears on the floor, which the captain does not notice yet because he is distracted by his companion's unexpected maneuver. He says that An Lu didn't have to jump after Xiaoye and save him at all. Then the archer girl calls the captain to finally pay attention to what's happening on the floor. And the team has another problem in the form of a ferocious giant rat ready to pounce on them at any second. Now they have to find a way to somehow deal with a monster that is stronger and more advanced than they are. Team Captain Qin is horrified that they are facing such a strong monster in this house. The archer and healer can't even imagine how they can defeat a monster that is 6 levels higher than them. Lu Ju ponders whether it's wise to go all the way and fight the monster, or whether it's wise to just retreat in time and not take any risks. And she suggests that the captain should consider retreating after all, without exposing the 3 of them to a risky fight with the giant rat. But Qin Haozhan has been closely observing the rat's behavior all this time, and it seems to him that something is wrong with it. They see that the rat, which was mad with rage just a couple minutes ago, has become confused and is trying to find someone. It turns out that the monster rat has smelled the demon lord and is now desperately trying to find him. It turns its head in different directions in an attempt to see its lord and pays no attention to the rest of the team. The rat notices the king's scent and sees that its lord has fallen into a hole between the floors. This scares the monster away. Xiaoye, falling into the abyss, is already beginning to humbly say goodbye to his life. He ponders the possibility of his rebirth in the game, similar cases he has seen before in various novels. Finally, after a long downward flight, Xiaoye lands and feels the surface beneath him. After landing, the protagonist doesn't have a scratch on him and is surprised that the landing was so painless for him. He looks at the hole in the floor above where he had fallen a little earlier and ponders how he will get out. He decides to wait for the team to come to his aid. But immediately a pack of monsters with eyes burning in the dark forms behind him. These monsters turn out to be several other giant rats, which happily pounce on Xiao Ye, recognizing him as their master. But Xiao Ye is helped by Anlu, who jumps after him and quickly dispatches the rats attacking him. The protagonist is trembling with fear, not realizing where the daggers came from, and Anlu from the shadows tells him not to be afraid of the monsters. Xiao Ye looks warily at the girl who has come and cautiously asks who she is. When Anlu steps out of the shadows into the light, Xiao Ye recognizes her as one of the members of his hired team. The girl tells the protagonist that they are surrounded by monsters, and he needs to be careful here. Right in front of them is an invisible barrier that has blocked the way up and prevents them from going any further. Now they will have to find another way to get out. Xiao Ye notices some stairs on his right and suggests the girl to use it to go upstairs. And Lu tells Xiao Ye that he will have to pave the way for them. The bewildered protagonist doesn't understand how he will be able to guide them without any abilities. But Anlu doesn't understand Xiao Ye's bewilderment and starts thinking about their plan. The girl informs him that she cannot go forward because people of her profession can only work from the shadows, behind the team. Xiao Ye starts walking forward in fear and asks the girl to just keep an eye on him and protect him from the monsters. She says that Xiao Ye has nothing to fear, and she will be able to protect him in case of danger. But in fact, she is preparing a brutal massacre of Xiao Ye, who, completely unsuspecting, is walking ahead of her. And Lu has not forgotten that the main goal of her team's mission is still the precious treasure hidden in Xiao Ye's apartment. Then she activates her backstabbing skill and makes a surprise attack on Xiao Ye. But the protagonist has taken out a fried chicken from his inventory at this moment, and Lu's blow goes straight at the chicken, not hitting Xiao Ye in any way. And Lu doesn't understand how Xiao Ye was able to repel her unexpected lunge with just one fried chicken. In fact, Xiao Ye just decided to treat the girl with the dish he made, because she was injured somewhere and lost her health. Xiao Ye happily remarks that Lu also has a knife that he can use to cut the chicken and enjoy the dish. But Lu makes a few quick jumps back, frightened by the strength of Xiao Ye, who is able to easily repel her attack. She notices the strange behavior of Xiao Ye, who seems like a simple guy on the outside, but has a large amount of money and expensive cooking skills. She reflects on how skillfully Xiao Ye used the fried chicken as a shield to repel her attack. She decides that by some miracle, Xiao Ye was able to anticipate and dodge the attack that was coming at him in advance. She decides to be more careful of his actions, because the chicken he offers could be poisoned. She imagines how the poison could easily turn her into Xiao Ye's puppet and deprive her of all free will. But despite her prejudices, she decides to try the dish that Xiao Ye offers her. And Lu feels guilty that she couldn't resist because of the tantalizing smell of the dish. But the dish was so delicious that the girl felt a sense of bliss when she tasted it. She couldn't even imagine that she could get something other than a health boost from eating the dish. After eating Xiao Ye's fried chicken, her level increased from 16th to 21st, and her martial skills increased. Among other things, because of the level increase, she upgraded her class from novice assassin to assassin. She is surprised that the dish can not only have a pleasant flavor, but also increase her skill level and upgrade her class. It turns out that Xiao Ye's dish contained a modifier that indicates the skill of the master of the dish being prepared. And Lu vowed that she would only go after strong players, and it seems to her that Xiao Ye is actually much stronger than her current captain. She imagines a scale in which one Xiao Ye outweighs several Qin Haojian at once. Yan Lu, seeing Xiao Ye's incredible strength, decides to swear allegiance to him and become his subordinate. Xiao Ye is frightened by the behavior of An Lu, who previously seemed to him just an infantile girl. Xiao Ye informs her that he doesn't need subordinates and he just wants the girl to protect him in this place. He asks the girl to honor his request. After all, he is her boss on this assignment. And Lu is surprised and bewildered by Xiao Ye's words. She falls silent and ponders what decision she should make and what to do next. But the girl has completely surrendered to Xiao Ye's power and decides to protect her boss at all costs. At this time, Qin conducts a fierce fight with the monster that attacked his team, a giant rat. He uses a dagger and strikes the monster. After Qin's strike, the giant rat falls to the ground. But the rat itself does not resist the captain's blows. It blames itself for the mistake that hurt its lord. The rat can't stop blaming itself for the mistake and goes to the other world of its own accord. Qin stares at the rat's defeated carcass in amazement, thinking that he was able to finish it off with just one blow. Obara looks at her brother with admiration and cheers that he was able to defeat a monster several levels higher than himself. She is thrilled with the captain's professionalism in defeating the A-rank monster with a single blow. That's when Qin Haojian's golden rays begin to erupt from underneath his feet, stating that he has been awarded the legendary title. He receives a notification in the system that the title has been awarded, and he agrees to receive it. Because of the title, Chin rejoices, and some of his stats increase by 3%. Obara is still scared. She doesn't like the aura of this building. But the smug Chin continues to cheer after his victory. Chin considers himself an incredibly strong player, capable of defeating any monster. He no longer sees any obstacles and declares to everyone that he has nothing to fear now. But Obara is startled to notice a creature behind her brother's back that scares the hell out of her. Chin looks up and sees a giant cat monster with a huge mouth and sharp teeth. The captain tries to dodge the attack of this monster and jumps aside. But still, the cat strikes him and he flies off into one of the walls of the room they are in. At the place where Chin flew away, a huge hole is formed and the captain loses more than half of his health. He can't believe that as soon as they dealt with one monster, they were attacked by an even stronger one. The demon cat turns out to be the strongest A-rank monster of level 35. The monster activates its skill and the deafening roar of the demonic beast descends upon the team. Due to the power of the shockwave, all the team members have a hard time. They can barely stand on their own feet. The roar of the fox is so strong that it knocks the two girls off their feet and slams them into the wall with all their might. The girls fall to the ground after the fox attack and try to regain consciousness. They lose more than half of their health. Obara notices that monsters of such a high level can only be found in dungeons. Obara immediately realized that her premonition was not lying. Then the archer also realizes the reason why they meet monsters of such a high level on their way. Chin drinks a potion to restore her health and decides to distract the monster so that they have time to think of a further plan. The monster doesn't hesitate and Chin is horrified to see the demon cat's next attack. The cat prepares to strike the team captain with its giant paw. And this blow is right on target. It crashes down on Chin with crushing force. The captain flies right into the hole in the wall from the demon cat's previous blow. He loses almost all of his health and asks Obara to use her healing skills as soon as possible. Then the girl applies the beginner's healing skill and restores some health to her brother. Chin ponders how he can make his attack to reach the demonic monster. But the cat with its scary red eyes looks straight at the captain and watches his every action. Then the demonic beast makes many attacks on the captain at once. Obara barely has time to heal Chin to keep him from losing all his health. The captain is still hanging in the air. He keeps receiving a series of blows from the monster. Chin Haojian, who a moment ago was confident in his incredible abilities, is now in complete helplessness due to the insane strength of the stronger monster. The demonic beast stops delivering multiple blows to the captain and seals him into a stone wall. He is severely injured and has lost almost all of his health. Chin no longer hopes to defeat the beast in this fight. The girl gunner says that under no circumstances will they be able to defeat this monster in their current lineup. Obara suggests that they find a way to save their brother together and exit the dungeon together. But Lu Ju has already left them and quickly moves to the roof of a neighboring building. Lu Ju says that she is not ready to go to her death with her team, and so she retreats. Obara is terrified to be left alone with her badly injured brother and can't imagine what she should do next. The demon cat prepares to deliver its final blow to Chin and send the hero to the other world. The captain's sister, frightened, can only shout her brother's name, hoping that he will come to his senses and dodge the attack. Suddenly, a door opens, revealing the silhouettes of Xiao Ye. The protagonist looks at the demonic cat with delight and calls its name, Bao Bao. The cat switches its attention from the team captain to Xiao Ye and joyfully jumps to meet his master. The demon cat becomes a small kitten. It meows delightedly and flies towards the demon lord. Xiao Ye hugs his cat and is happy to see that he has stayed well. Chin and Obara can't understand how it happened that an insanely strong monster turned out to be Xiao Ye's pet kitten. But Bao Bao reminds the team that he is a demonic beast after all, and casts an angry glare in their direction. Obara is shocked by what happened. It turns out that the main boss of the dungeon is Xiao Ye's pet cat. Xiao Ye, along with his cat perched on his head, looks at what's left in his old apartment. Captain Chin, who is badly injured, is still happy that he and his team managed to get out of the dungeon alive. Chin says that he never expected a simple guy like Xiao Ye to have such a powerful pet. He decides to keep Xiao Ye alive because he thinks that they can get a lot of different benefits from him in the future. The captain praises Anlu's work in protecting Xiao Ye and helping him get out. He also wryly teases Lu Ju, who left him during the battle with the demon cat. Chin Haojian calls Anlu over to hug her in gratitude. Anlu, with downcast eyes, slowly approaches the captain. He encourages her that she will be able to achieve great success by being on the team. But suddenly, Anlu attacks her teammates and makes quick movements with her dagger. Her attack was so unpredictable that her teammates fail to dodge in time and are severely injured. Chin can't understand her companion's actions and bewilderedly asks her why she did it. But Anlu, now defending Xiao Ye's honor, only looks at the captain contemptuously. She continues to stab angrily at her teammates with her dagger. Obara, who is left behind, screams in horror. And Lu threatens the captain on the grounds that he doesn't realize whose life he has infringed upon. Xiao Ye comes out of his apartment with Bao Bao and says he's finished packing his things and they can go back in. Xiao Ye and Bao Bao can't stop being excited about their reunion after a long separation. The protagonist says that he lost Bao Bao after their world changed and wanted to find him at any cost. And Lu looks mysteriously at the cat sitting on Xiao Ye's shoulder and realizes why Xiao Ye decided to return to his old apartment. She respectfully bows to the protagonist and says that they will now become co-workers. Xiao Ye carefully discusses with Enlu that one should not abandon those once tamed, and now that he has found his cat, they can return to the city. The protagonist steps forward and notices a huge pool of blood spilled on the floor. He notices the severely injured Lu Ju and the captain. Xiao Ye doesn't understand how this could have happened in the time it took him to pack up his apartment. His face is distorted with fear and horror, and he screams in incomprehension of what happened to the two crew members. And Lu informs Xiao Ye that Lu Ju and Qin were severely injured, and she only wanted to help them end their suffering. Qin, upon hearing Enlu's words, screams in incomprehension. Obara tries her best to heal her co-commanders and restores some health to them. Qin Haojian yells at Enlu and blames her for his severe injuries. Enlu makes a regretful look and sighs timidly because of the captain's plight. Qin shouts fearfully and orders Obara to restore his health as soon as possible. But Obara, who is only a novice healer, cannot heal such serious wounds of his fellow soldiers. Qin can't imagine parting with his life after surviving 2 attacks from the strongest monsters because of his own teammates' attack. He recalls the disdainful face of Enlu, who told him that he had offended a too important person after making the attack. Qin comes to terms with the situation and realizes that he made a mistake. He feels his life force leaving him and prepares to go to the other world. Suddenly, Xiao Ye's voice is heard, offering his help. The team is puzzled as to how a weak player like Xiao Ye will be able to help them with their severe injuries. But Xiao Ye pulls out a healing bandage from his backpack, for he has also mastered first aid skills. Xiao Ye's healing bandage is a rank A item and can restore a large amount of health. Lu Ju looks at the bandage in Xiao Ye's hands with surprise, as it is the highest quality ghost cloth bandage he has ever seen. Making this bandage requires the most expensive skill in the game, first aid. At low and medium levels, this bandage is a highly effective item whose effects are comparable to the effects of the 5 players' healing spells. Among other things, this bandage can be used at high levels directly during combat, which shows its irreplaceable and effective effect. But due to the high cost of the skill, no one is mastering it, and, in addition, this bandage is very thin at the initial stages. But Xiao Ye has successfully mastered the first aid skill so that he can survive in this world without any other skills. Xiao Ye is happy that he can be useful to the team and apply his skill to heal them. Qin, seeing what abilities and capabilities Xiao Ye possesses, is horrified that just a short while ago he wanted to sneakily deceive him. The author shows the captain in an ironic way, saying that even the reader probably thinks that the captain made a foolish decision earlier on. However, Enlu, standing aside, wants to object to Xiao Ye's actions. She has come up with a devious plan to brutalize her companions again after healing them. Her insidious and intimidating aura terrifies the injured Lu Ju and Qin. They fearfully and timidly refuse Xiao Ye's help to prevent Enlu's plan from coming to fruition. But Xiao Ye insists that the captain should not hesitate and use the healing bandage. Qin Haojian is hesitant. It is hard for him to accept such an expensive gift from Xiao Ye, whom he wanted to dishonor earlier. Xiao Ye does not back down and persuades Qin to accept the blindfold, as there is nothing more important than human life. Qin is touched by the kindness of the protagonist and promises to repay him for his favor. Then Qin receives a new notification in the system, and he looks at it in surprise. This notification to the captain turns out to be an exchange request from Xiao Ye. He decided to offer the captain an exchange so as not to embarrass him and make him his debtor. Thus Xiao Ye exchanged his expensive bandages for all the money Lu Ju and Qin had in their possession. But now, after making this exchange, there was no way Xiao Ye would leave his severely injured companions in such a condition. He successfully applied the ghost cloth bandage to help the captain. The bandage enveloped Qin's body and his wounds gradually began to heal. The healing looks like bright rays of warm sunshine in a dark and ruined room. Xiao Ye not only healed the captain's wounds with his bandage, but also gave him enthusiasm and new strength. Tears of happiness welled up in his eyes from the enveloping warmth of the ghostly healing bandage. But the team should not forget that they had given all their money in exchange for the bandage. However, the mighty power of the bandage doesn't compare to the little they had to give for it. Qin was not at all upset by the fact of the waste. After using the bandage, the level of all the team members increased by 5, and their classes went from the trainee section to full-fledged player classes. The players are all surprised by the fact that the bandage not only helped them heal their injuries, but also added to their levels. They are all shocked by the presence of a modifier hidden under the ghost cloth bandage. The 3 team members bow to Xiao Ye in gratitude and promise to help him with all their difficulties. Xiao Ye says they should just return the money as soon as they can earn it back. And Lu marvels at the cunning of Xiao Ye, who she thinks is going to destroy the 3 team members through usury. The team leaves the dungeon and receives 50,000 experience for successfully clearing it of monsters. A general notice appears, informing everyone that Chin's team has successfully cleared the apartment building dungeon. The other players don't suspect anything about this yet and continue to go about their business. But they too are caught up by the notification that one of the teams was able to pass the dungeon. Xiao is surprised to see the notification and can't understand it. It turns out that the main character didn't realize that the house they were in was a dungeon. The captain is surprised that Xiao Ye didn't know that when going there and answers his question in the affirmative. Also, Chin says that Bao Bao the cat is actually the head boss of this dungeon. Xiao Ye is shocked by this fact. Roland is also caught up with the notification that the team, including Xiao Ye, has managed to get through the dungeon. He looks at this notification with interest and reads it carefully. Roland is surprised that the Demon Lord has assembled a team to mop up his own dungeon. In the town, all the players meet the heroes and cheer at the sight of them. Everyone steps in front of them and starts whispering about whether it's true that this is the same team that passed the dungeon of such a high level. The whole team walks happily through the city and catches the admiring glances of the other players. Some random players recognize Qin Haozhan as the team captain. It turns out that Qin used to be a professional player who was the leader of many other games. The legendary title, Extremely Strong Player, is painted over Qin's head, and the others look at him admiringly. Qin smugly starts chatting with the other players and says that the dungeon sweep is not really his own. He points at Xiao Ye and gives him all the honor from the victory that happened. Suddenly, there is a loud shout of congratulations from someone in the crowd. The team looks around and tries to find the person who shouted the congratulations with a glance. They see in front of them a panting Roland, who was obviously in a big hurry to get to them. Everyone sees him and is surprised that Mr. Roland himself, the hope of mankind for salvation, has come to congratulate the team. But Roland has a task of his own. He must not be told that Xiao Ye is a demon lord. Roland clears his throat and is about to give a congratulatory speech to the team. He congratulates them all on their victory in the dungeon on behalf of Heavenly City. Xiao Ye is happy to see his old buddy. But Roland pulls out something like a whip and swings it sharply. With this whip, he binds the entire team except Xiao Ye and drags them behind him, promising to give them medals for their victory. Xiao Ye, left standing in his place, thinks that because he is a mere customer, he was not taken to the award ceremony. But he is not at all upset by this fact and continues to smile. Out of anger, Roland beats his fist against the wall with all his might. It even begins to crack from such a fierce blow. He looks fiercely at the team that won the dungeon and begins to threaten them. The captain doesn't understand the reason for Roland's irritation and begins to shake with fear. Roland, standing next to the entire team, informs them that Xiao Ye is no ordinary player at all. He asks them if they know why Xiao Ye is not showing his level in class. Lu Ju assumes that he's just hiding them. Roland answers in the negative, because that's not why others can't see Xiao Ye's characteristics. He tells the team that Xiao Ye is not a player at all. This information leaves them all in shock. The captain is surprised that there is anyone left in this world who is not a player. Lu Ju asks about this, to which Anlu suggests Xiao Ye is a demon. Everyone turns towards Anlu, and the archer asks her to explain what she said. She says, Xiao Ye has incredible strength and is probably a high-class demon. Roland is at a loss and notes the girl's cleverness. He confirms Anlu's theory, but says Xiao Ye is many times stronger than even the most powerful demon. In fact, Xiao Ye is actually a demon lord, possessing incredible strength and standing above any other demon. The entire team is stunned by the information they have heard, their faces expressing incredible amazement. Roland continues to explain the situation and says that Xiao Ye is simply disguised as a buggy player. In order to avoid destroying the world, they need to control Xiao Ye's every move. Roland says that with his help and the help of Qin's team, they can lead this world to victory. So he suggests their team to cooperate with him and extends his hand to the captain with the hope of a positive response. Qin ponders Roland's proposal to overthrow the Demon King together. But after a short thought, he shakes Roland's hand and agrees to his plan. Roland smiles happily and rejoices over the successful arrangement with Qin's team. He suggests that they work together to successfully defend the truth. And after a successful deal, Roland leaves the team and retires to an unknown destination. Lu Ju is the first to speak out about what she has heard. She says that she could not have expected to find such great strength in Xiao Ye. Afterward, she asks Qin about his plans to work together with Roland. But Qin smiles smugly and informs her that he just fooled Roland. Having a lot of experience in games, Qin has a good idea of the balance of power and doesn't want to confront a character as strong as Xiao Ye. The captain makes fun of Lu Ju's betrayal and says that she can't tell him how to act. Lu Ju agrees with the captain and is willing to support him in such a case. Qin turns to the rest of the team and asks what they think about it. And Lu says that she is willing to stay on the team if they are willing to continue serving the Demon Lord. Qin is hurt by An Lu's words about serving Xiao Ye, comparing them to loyal dogs. And Lu used to be a very different girl. She obediently agreed with everything Qin said. The captain says that if An Lu attacks them next time, he won't hesitate to fight back. Obara also decides to speak up, and she has one condition, but she is not listened to and is cut off at half a word. Qin decides that they have come to an agreement and all the team members are willing to cooperate with Xiao Ye, rejecting Roland's plan. It turns out that Qin's team was the first team to decide not to defend the world from the Demon Lord, but to join him instead. The world is engulfed by a destructive force, but some part is under the effect of a barrier that creates a safe zone for players. Two men who are NPS are discussing the team that was recently successful in clearing the dungeon. The man in the black cloak is rejoicing in the fact that strong teams are emerging that will be able to help them defeat the Demon King. He asks his interlocutor if Roland has returned from his mission to destroy the king and what the results were. He is told the good news that Roland has returned, causing him to assume that the Demon King has already been successfully eliminated. However, he is then given the bad news that Roland has brought the Demon Lord with him to the safe zone. The man in the cloak doesn't understand why Roland would do such a thing. It turns out that their plan went awry, and the Demon King was not born as a baby, as they had expected. Roland's report reveals that the Demon Lord has become a teenager. The man is surprised by this fact, for no one could have predicted such a thing. He is informed that Roland is ready to tell him and the other leaders about the circumstances right now. Roland arrives at the appointed place where his supervisors are waiting for him to report. The entire staff steps in front of him and bows to him in greeting. One of the men tells him that everything is ready and Roland can join the meeting. He also tells him that if Roland needs anything, he can ask him for help, to which Roland smiles in gratitude. But immediately Roland's face takes on a serious look, for the news he is about to deliver is not the most pleasant. Many screens appear around Roland, and one eye starts talking to him. One of these screens asks Roland to tell everyone how things are going with the Demon King. Roland reports that the Demon Lord has turned out to be far more powerful than they all could have expected.